So if EVs are becoming popular and people do more miles in EVs than they do in petrol cars, you would expect petrol consumption to be going down, wouldn't you? It's got to. Except Colin Walker, January 16th, only just saw this. Very cool. Amazon UK has just made the UK's largest ever order for electric HGVs, 140 of them. Now, I would have thought that was a win for the Climate Intelligence Unit and Colin himself, but he's just got to dig the knife in and twist it a little bit on hydrogen. Note they're electric, not hydrogen, because physics. Colin,
I can't change the laws of physics.
I noticed this chap, Carl Evans, Edge Data, Oil, Petroleum and Forecourt Insight, 1 week ago. Where are all the BEVs? It's a question I've been asking myself in recent months. Despite record high battery electric vehicle registrations in 2024 and 2025, demand for auto fuel is up compared to last year, driven by rising demand for petrol as motorists move away from diesel. An anticipated peak auto fuel moment in 2024 didn't happen, leaving us to wonder, if EV registrations are surging, why hasn't demand for liquid fuels fallen more sharply? The data reveals a more complex picture than initially forecasted. Fleet purchases driven by company car schemes and corporate decarbonisation commitments have largely fueled the surge in EV registrations. However, the private motorists has been slower to embrace them. They don't want them because they drop too much and they don't get tax incentives. Several explanations are emerging for the mismatch between new registrations and actual usage. Fleet purchases sitting idle. Mainly newly registered EVs are not yet in circulation. Newly registered EVs are not yet in circulation.
There's a load of Volvo EX30s. They've just been advertised today. They were pre-registered 2 days ago and they're all ready for sale used. As Philip Northard said, 30% of the cars registered were done so on the last day, and this should be one of the best months of the year, and they're already pre-registering EVs. Doesn't bode well, does it, for the future?
Do you know what? When I used to sell ICE cars back in the day, we used to open at midnight on July the 31st because people couldn't wait to get their new ICE vehicle with a new registration on August the 1st and drive off. They didn't say, didn't pay for it. He didn't say, Baz, let me pay for it and I'll come and get it in a few months. Next year. 2 years.
This car was listed for sale on the 14th of the 7th, 2025. We are in September now, but it's a BMW i4. It was registered in 2022 and it's still only done 10 miles.
And if you want to sell it to somebody else in the meantime, so as it looks like you've sold a new car and a used car.
More cars. This Mazda MX-30, first registered September 2023. It's done 20 miles. It was only advertised in April 2025 and it's had 2 owners. 20 miles, 2 owners.
Just park it on an airfield somewhere for me. Or at the docks. So fleet purchases sitting idle. Many newly registered EVs are not yet in circulation. Consumer hesitation. Motorists still perceive BEVs as expensive, inconvenient, or not yet right for their lifestyles, until charging infrastructure becomes more reliable and the second-hand EV market matures. Uptake among private motorists is likely to lag. I went to the new Lidl yesterday, just up the road, and they've got 2 superchargers there, I think they were. I did mean to go and have a look, but I was that interested I forgot. But anyway, what I can tell you, there was nobody charging there. If the infrastructure is so bad, why isn't somebody charging? In contrast, petrol vehicles continue to offer the flexibility, range and affordability that UK motorists clearly still value. This explains why forecourt operators are reporting steady or even growing volumes, despite the ongoing energy transition narrative. The energy transition is certainly not off track, and a post-petrol future appears to be inevitable. It's not inevitable that it's going to be battery electric vehicles. However, the journey to that future world may be more gradual and unpredictable than many expected. Retailers are already adapting by diversifying offerings, investing in charging infrastructure and rethinking network strategies. There's a couple of posts which are very, very interesting. For example, Anxiety EV, the latest roadside retail report from Edge Data Pro, has suggested that the EV market is not where industry experts thought it would be. I would suggest that it is completely understating the situation. With the eye-watering losses recently reported by the only dedicated EV operator, who would want to follow that? I completed a project this year for one of the large car manufacturers. Their concern was a number of fleet companies were reverting from EV vans to diesel vans, citing that they were losing too many man-hours sitting around waiting to charge. Their question was, what is the forecourt sector doing regarding the installation of chargers? Now, I realise a few of you will be saying, they're falsifying figures. Begs the question though, doesn't it? They forecast that a peak fuel moment was going to be in 2024, and it hasn't happened. Now, I would imagine they calculated how many battery electric vehicles would be on the road in order to calculate that 2024 peak fuel moment. The peak fuel moment didn't happen last year. It's not going according to plan, no matter what they say. The future, perhaps it's not petrol, but is it pure battery electric vehicles? I don't think so. I've posted a few stories about hydrogen, or I've suggested that hydrogen may come in the future in a big way. I keep seeing posts, I keep seeing stories, reports, all on about hydrogen. BMW backs hydrogen for transport with first series production car in 2028. Is H2 the future after all? Zero Avia awarded UK government grant for development and flight test of liquid hydrogen fuel system. Cummins and partners celebrate successful hydrogen engine project. Hyundai Motors hydrogen FC EV cars, pioneering the past, leading the present, shaping the future. I've also mentioned that for some reason, the people that want full battery electric vehicles, who think hybrids and FEVs aren't electric, unless of course they need to include them into percentages to make electric vehicle sales look better. They quite happily accept them then, but vehemently deny that they're electric vehicles and that they will catch on. And why do these people who are mouthpieces for full battery electric vehicles, why do they hate other forms of propulsion, other fuels? Why only, if they want green energy, why does it have to be battery? Why can't it be something else? You know, imagine if you could make a nuclear powered engine that fits in your car. Costs you nothing to go. I wouldn't like to be in a crash, but there you go. I wouldn't like a few of them to go on fire in the underground car park. But why are they so against other fuels? And every time I post something about hydrogen, people jump on it. Hydrogen, you know, it won't do this, it won't do that. It'll never catch on. But why? Why all this up front? Why all this resistance up front? I'm just going to use this chap as an example. Colin Walker, Head of Transport at the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, ECIU, UK. You will notice there that on his profile, above his profile picture, it shows Bart Simpson writing lines on the blackboard. A plug-in hybrid is not an electric vehicle, unless of course you need it in the sales figures to pretend you've actually done the ZEV mandate target with electric vehicles and not ICE engines, which of course a hybrid is, even according to Colin. This is the firm he works for, the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, ECIU. is a non-profit initiative that supports informed debate on energy and climate issues. It says there, blue sky at eciu.net. And you will notice that somebody called ECIU underneath has put, nope, not a freaking energy and climate intelligence unit. So obviously they've linked to her and she's a bit fed up about it. But to be honest, if that's the standard of the work, I don't think it's too good.
This is the website Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. The Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit is an independent, non-profit that supports informed debate on energy and climate change, unless of course it's anything to do with hydrogen. Then it looks like they're just trying to shut it down before it gets off the ground. Colin Walker, economics and physics mean that hydrogen is likely to be, at best, a niche player when it comes to powering future vehicles. Battery electric technology is superior in most applications. Vested interests often at play when alternatives like hydrogen get pushed. And you'll see there, INEOS lobbies Labour for hydrogen fuel cell strategy. It would seem to me that the Climate Intelligence Unit is doing everything they can for just battery electric vehicles. I can't see anything else in the timeline. I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong. Is he an expert in car sales, as he seems to be, in battery electric vehicles, in chemistry, and hydrogen too? I would question that. August 13, 2024, excellent infographic and one to keep in your back pocket for when you encounter people advocating for hydrogen and e-fuels as an alternative to batteries for moving cars. All that extra energy costs money, which means EVs will always be cheaper to run. Okay, so is this about cost or is it about saving the planet? I'm confused. Colin Walker, August 28, 2024. It shows that a hydrogen fuel cell car needs 3 times as much electricity to be generated than an EV does to move the same distance. A car powered by synthetic petrol needs 6 times as much. More energy equals higher cost to driver, which is why EVs will win. Colin Walker, September 12, 2024. Graham claims that car drivers will explore hydrogen cell cars. Let's knock that one on the head. At IEA says there were only 72,000 hydrogen fuel cell vehicles on the planet in 2022 versus 26 million EVs. Colin Walker, September 12, 2024. Replying to Colin Walker, he's even taken to replying to himself. Why? Because compared to an EV, a huge amount of energy is required to produce and transport the hydrogen to power the car. And that all costs money, which means a hydrogen car costs a lot more to fuel than an EV. But yet we transport EVs from China, and we also transport coal and wood chips for the clean energy, which we import from another country, thousands of miles away. That's the stuff that produces the electric for a battery electric vehicle. But that's okay. Colin Walker, September 12, 2024, is obviously really upset about hydrogen. But of course, as we know, the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, who he works for, is an independent non-profit that supports informed debate on energy and climate change. Unless it's about hydrogen. Colin Walker, September 12, 2024. Replying to Colin Walker, he's talking to himself now. A hydrogen car costs around 20p per mile to drive. A petrol/diesel car is around 15 to 20p per mile. EVs, they can cost as little as 2p per mile. But they depreciate thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. So that is to be taken into account in the running costs. Then I think you'll find it's a completely different story as to what they cost per mile. Toyota rethinks its bet on hydrogen. You can run from the laws of thermodynamics, but you can't hide. Colin's on the Starship Enterprise now. Colin!
I can't change the laws of physics.
Colin Walker, January 16th. Only just saw this. Very cool. Amazon UK has just made the UK's largest ever order for electric HGVs, 140 of them. Now, I would have thought that was a win for the Climate Intelligence Unit and Colin himself, but he's just got to dig the knife in and twist it a little bit on hydrogen. Note they're electric, not hydrogen, because physics. Colin.
I can't change the laws of physics.
Colin Walker, January the 20th. Rather than just build EVs, Toyota would rather A. try and push for alternative technologies despite being patently inferior, i.e. hydrogen, B. fund climate skeptic politicians in the US. These distractions just allow competitors, especially in China, to streak ahead. I think there's a few clever people at Toyota, and I also think they're a lot cleverer than Colin and know a heck of a lot more about producing cars and what people want. Colin Walker, May 6. Why on earth in 2025 is anyone buying hydrogen buses over electric ones when A. they cost a lot more to fuel, B. that fuel has to be shipped 3,000 miles from Saudi Arabia, C. EV buses can be powered by British electrons from British wind and solar farms. Colin Walker, May 19th. Great diagram showing how inefficient a hydrogen electric bus is compared to a battery electric bus. I'd like to see both of them side by side in a fire. Hydrogen, only 14% of the energy generated is converted to motion. Battery electric, 69%, means hydrogen buses need 5 times the energy to move. Colin Walker, May 19th. When it comes to surface transport, there are very few applications where electricity / batteries is not a superior option to hydrogen. And we'll cite whoever's hydrogen ladder in defence of this position. Colin Walker, June 20th. Latest in hydrogen is the future news. Felix Hamer, I've come across Felix Hamer before, and I have to say I disagree with a lot of the stuff he's put. Hype, the world's largest hydrogen taxi operator, is set to stop running its fleet of hydrogen taxis in the Paris area and switch to battery electric vehicles instead. 3 electric flashes, I told you so, and an emoji, which I don't know what it means, but I told you so. And if we just remember that there's been a lot of people burn, especially in the hire car industry, by purchasing electric vehicles at probably less than half price and still not being able to make a profit on them and losing a fortune. Colin Walker, August 15th. Heavy lorries are the next giant domino to fall for big oil. Great piece by Ambrose Evan Pritchard in the Telegraph on how hydrogen is being ditched in favour of batteries to decarbonise HGVs. JCB, world's first hydrogen combustion engine approved for commercial use. Royal reveal for JCB's innovative hydrogen engine. JCB secures full EU type approval for pioneering hydrogen engine. Landmark start to 2025 as JCB's hydrogen engine approved for use. Colin Walker, August the 12th. Replying to Colin Walker, talking to himself again. And what of those who are struggling to make the shift? Will they risk being left behind? The likes of Toyota seem determined to carry on pushing outdated and inferior technologies, hybrids in particular, and even hydrogen while the world continues its shift to EVs. I'm not sure, but that seems to be a little bit biased for somebody who just wants green energy, like the Climate Intelligence Unit. Make your own mind up. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.